yesterday we were discussing reforms in civil services. So what reforms in civil services? Day before we had discussed reforms related to transparency, how to strengthen the RDI. Yesterday we discussed reforms related to accountability, individual as well as institution. Then we started discussing citizen-centric governance, how to facilitate citizen-centric governance, what are the ways, what are the 5 ways in which citizens participate in governance. Okay, then we discussed the escape of the model, citizens charter we discussed, advanced redressal mechanisms we discussed. Okay, then we discussed generalists versus specialists. Okay, what we need is generalists who can specialize and specialists who can generalize. We discussed both the dimensions, and then we had started our discussion on the ethical framework of civil service. Okay, so we discussed what are the issues with the conduct rules, call it AIS or CCS conduct rules. What are the issues? Okay, now reforms. What reforms need to be undertaken in conduct rules? A comprehensive civil services code comprising of code of ethics, and code of conduct should be formulated. A comprehensive civil services code comprising of code of ethics and code of conduct should be formulated. Code of ethics should contain the foundational values of public services, values of public services, while the code of conduct needs to be redrawn. Code of conduct needs to be redrawn to address the weaknesses or to address the issues highlighted earlier. The issues that we have discussed in the code of conduct, so those issues need to be addressed through a new code of conduct. The new code of conduct should clearly specify in unambiguous terms code of conduct should clearly specify in unambiguous terms acceptable and unacceptable standards of behavior and action. Behavior and actions on part of public servants. The civil services code should have legal enforceability. Should be part of the proposed Civil Services Act. Should have legal enforceability and should be part of the proposed Civil Services Act. Special focus should be on implementation and enforcement. special focus should be on implementation and enforcement. It should be the responsibility of the head of the office. It should be the responsibility of the head of the office to enforce the code. Also, Civil Services Authority should conduct the proposed Civil Services Authority. Also, the proposed Civil Services Authority should conduct regular audits to ensure the implementation of the code. Tools such as social audit, citizens feedback, etc. can also be used. Okay. So what reforms are we proposing? That first of all we discuss the issues with the code of conduct, the existing code of conduct. Okay, so there are various issues with the existing code of conduct, and therefore what second ARC has recommended that what we need is a comprehensive civil services code. The civil services code will have two parts: code of conduct and code of ethics. Code of ethics will clearly define what are the foundational values of public services. Code of conduct, a new code of conduct needs to be redrawn to address the issues which have been highlighted in the earlier code of conduct. Okay. And special focus should be on, like, this proposed civil services code, it will have legal enforceability. It will be part of the proposed Civil Services Act. Okay. And special focus will be on enforcement and implementation of the civil services code. Because at present implementation is the main issue. Nobody is there to monitor its implementation. So in the new act, it should be specified that the head of the office should be made responsible for the implementation of the code. Okay. And plus the proposed Civil Services Authority, and we have discussed Civil Services Authority at a number of places. So one of its functions should be to conduct regular audit of different public organizations to basically monitor, to check whether the code is being implemented or not. Also, tools such as social audit, citizens feedback, etc. can also be used to ensure that the code is being implemented. Okay. So this is basically reforms needed to strengthen the ethical framework of civil servants, basically to strengthen the code of conduct of civil servants. Yeah? Any questions here? So we are done with civil services reforms. Okay, we discussed civil services in detail. We started with our discussion on what is the nature of civil services in India. We have a permanent career-based generalist civil service with all the various characteristics. We discussed the achievements or positives of our civil services. We discussed the relationship between political executive and civil servants. Okay. We discussed what are the issues and weaknesses. Okay. Then we discussed various kinds of reforms that need to take place in our civil services. Reforms related to transparency, accountability, citizen-centered governance. Okay. Generalist versus specialist. How to strengthen the ethical framework of civil servants by introducing a comprehensive civil services code. All these reforms we have discussed. So civil services is done. Okay. Next topic that will start is corruption. Corruption and probity in public health. which is the primary law to deal with corruption in India? The corruption, first of all, corruption is a very important topic. Okay, for paper 2, for paper 4, also in essays. And every few years, one essay comes on corruption or something related to corruption. So corruption will try to discuss in detail. Generally, corruption, people read about corruption, but in a very superficial manner. But corruption is something that needs to be discussed in detail. Understanding of corruption, what are the reasons, what are the solutions, etc. is very important. It is very helpful in paper 2, paper 4 and analysis. Okay? Yes. Which is the primary law to deal with corruption? Prevention of corruption. Now, Prevention of Corruption Act does not define corruption per se. Okay? It just lists out certain offences which can be termed as corruption. Okay? For example, financial misappropriation, acceptance of illegal gratification. Okay, accepting pecuniary benefits without any public interest. Okay, all these are offences which have been listed in Prevention of Corruption Act. Okay. Now, corruption can be viewed in various ways. Okay. One way of classifying corruption is in terms of coercive corruption and collusive corruption. Another way of analyzing corruption is in terms of incidental corruption, institutional corruption and systemic corruption. So, coercive corruption and collusive corruption. What is coercive corruption? Yeah, so coercive corruption basically is a form of corruption wherein citizens are coerced, they are forced to pay a bribe for some good or service that they are entitled to. So, for example, say corruption in getting a driving license, corruption in getting passports, or corruption in getting food grains from VDS shops. Okay. These are goods and services that citizens are entitled to, but they are forced to pay a bribe to get that good or service. Okay. So basically, in coercive corruption, citizens are victims of corruption.
So we are looking from the perspective of givers, right? Givers.
Both, right? Givers as well as bribe givers. In collusive corruption, both the bribe giver and the bribe taker, they collude with each other. Okay, and both of them benefit at the cost of society, at the cost of public exchange. In coercive corruption, citizens were being forced, as in the bribe giver was being forced to give the bribe. Okay. In collusive corruption, both bribe giver as well as bribe taker, they collude with each other. There is active connivance with each other. Okay.
So sometimes bribe taker will also be some pressure
To take the bribe.
No. What pressure? Maybe he has to take it.
Why do you have to take a bribe? You always have an option not to take it. What kind of pressure? I mean, why this thought?
Like political influence, political pressure.
Political pressure is there, so you can always say that I am not going to do anything, I am not going to get involved, you do whatever. See, there are two options. Either you stop others also from taking the bribe, or you say that you do whatever you want to do, I am not going to take it. So you always have that option, not take it. Nobody can force you to take it. Okay, so in collusive corruption, both the bribe giver as well as the bribe taker, they collude with each other. For example, all this crony capitalism, 2G scam, coal block allocation scam, ये सब में क्या हुआ? What happened there? कि the bribe giver, that is the private sector, and the bribe taker, that is the government, both actively colluded with each other, and both of them benefited. Private sector was not forced to give the bribe; they gave the bribe voluntarily. Okay, and both of them benefited at the cost of society, at the cost of public exchequer. Similarly, all these recruitment scams, constable recruitment, teachers recruitment, etc. So wherein the candidates give bribe to the recruitment agency, and both of them benefit at the cost of society. Okay, all these are examples of collusive corruption. Okay. Another way of looking at corruption is in terms of incidental, institutional, and systemic corruption. Incidental corruption means corruption which is done by individuals. It's incidental. Okay. Institutional means when corruption becomes part of the entire institution. And systemic means when corruption becomes part of the entire system, that is across different institutions. Okay. Incidental is at an individual level. Institutional is in one institution, systemic is across all institutions. Okay. So what kind of corruption we have? System. All our institutions of governance are plagued by corruption. Okay. So these are two ways of looking at corruption in terms of coercive and elusive corruption, in terms of incidental, institutional, and systemic corruption. India has both of these, like both these kinds of corruption. There is coercive corruption also in delivery of goods and services, and there is systemic corruption. Okay. Now, what are the factors responsible for corruption? What are the reasons for corruption? क्या reasons हैं? Why corruption? See, corruption today has become a way of life. We have accepted it. It has become part of our society, our economy. Why such a situation has come that we have accepted it as a part of life? What are the reasons for corruption?
Lack of ethical sensitivity.
Lack of ethical sensitivity. Or
To get the things done fast.
let the things move fast. Okay. Or
Actually, the institutions are what are the societies. So society reflects the institutions.
society.
Reflects the institutions.
So our society is corrupt, or institutions are corrupt.
Mindset of people that people who are in the institution are part of the society.
Yeah, but why society is corrupt? Why people in the society are corrupt? You are saying that the people who join government or public sector, etc., they come from the same society. So there is corruption in other parts of the society, so there is corruption in government also. But why there is corruption in the society? That's what I'm asking.
Because of norms and culture and environmental relation.
Environmental?
A particular society, region, organization, it's not up to mark, not a quality. That's why there are no reasons. Education, obligations, standards of teachers, family, peers, all these reflects, all the combination of this reflect in the
Certain lack of regulatory.
Lack of regulatory mechanism. Okay. So you focus on the social factors, socio-cultural factors. Okay. You are talking about regulatory reforms. Okay.
other instrumentals. I want to fulfill my desires, dreams. So, what are those?
Financial. If we have less resources, to get using those less resources, you want to get something more, then you will do it.
Sometimes the family pressures, the children want more, needs need more, your colleague need more. So that's why expectation is key.
Or in the case of emergency, means first reason is to get the things fast.
First, one of the important is internal voice. Your being is allowed, then
Why your inner being is alone?
it's because your ethics, the qualities, especially the ethics, morals, and values are weak.
Okay. See.
So, resource inefficiency means lack. There are limited
limited resources for
everybody. Example, you go to police constable. You want the resources. If the resources are more, there will be less corruption.
The governance and standards are supposed to be
More needs and limited resources.
that is a problem, like in particular sectors where people are not getting paid adequately. Okay. So basically you are trying to say that because they get less salary, that's why.
No, not so.
It's own person.
More number of people, but there are less resources.
Yeah. So like for example, corruption in police, a constable for example that
Not been corrupt. He wants to get that seat. If the seats were
such a constable recruitment you are saying. So
if the recruitment seats were
there is so much of competition and less resources.
Limited functionaries, large number of human into particular service. So to get them to be limited manner or limited time.
Yeah, that is a particular kind of corruption. Recruitment, corruption in recruitment is just one kind of corruption.
fear.
Not limited to recruitment, sir. It's all fields.
Competition or recruitment jobs में
No, sir. If you want to get a particular service, for example, a certificate, life certificate, so there are birth certificate, death certificate. There are n number of cases in a particular day. So
अच्छा that
every general vital sense.
see okay, whatever examples you have given, they are all right. Yes, they are all responsible. Basically, it's a question of how you are presenting your answer. Okay, you have to present your answer in a multi-dimensional way, in a very systematic way. So when you are analyzing the reasons for corruption, instead of writing, okay, reasons for corruption are 1, 2, 3, 4, you categorize the reasons into different categories. Historical factors, socio-cultural factors, economic factors, political factors, governance factors. This I have told you so many times. So always try to analyze any issue from the point of view of different dimensions, and it will help you in systematically thinking about that issue. Otherwise, whatever will come to your mind, you will write it. Think in terms of different dimensions. Historically, what are the historical factors? Historically, was corruption always there? Okay, socio-cultural factors में क्या है? Economic factors में क्या है? Political factors में क्या है? So always try to think systematically. So historical factors. Now, concern about corruption. See, corruption is not a new phenomenon. Okay, concern about corruption is as old as the human civilization. So when we were discussing Plato and Cordelia, they were also concerned about corruption. Cordelia has also written a lot about corruption in Arthashastra. Plato has written a lot about corruption in history. Okay, so corruption is not a modern phenomenon. Okay, historically, the kind of political system or the kind of governance system that different countries have had, it has had an impact on the kind of corruption that exists in that society, in that country. Okay, for instance, US, take the example of US. Okay, historically US has had spoiled system of governance or spoiled system of administration. Okay, what does spoiled system mean?
Governing government also appoint officers here.
They will appoint.
Officers here.
Yeah. So historically, in the US, all the important positions in the government, they are not sort of filled through open competition. Okay. So whenever the new government comes, they decide who the new civil servants would be, who would serve in their administration. For example, recently Donald Trump won the elections. Okay. Now he selected his own set of civil servants. Those civil servants were not recruited through open competition in a meritocratic manner. So for instance, you will find that Donald Trump's daughter and his son-in-law, they are all part of his administration. They are not civil servants, they do not have the, I don't know whether they have the capability or not, but they haven't been in public service and they were just recruited. Yeah, they haven't had the public experience. So this is known as spoil system. Spoil system means when you win a war, you distribute the spoils of war amongst the victors. By saying when you win elections, then basically you give all important positions to the people who you know. Okay. So historically this was the system. Even now America has spoil system of governance. And because of the spoil system of governance, spoil system of administration, lobbying in US, corruption exists in the form of lobbying. There are different interest groups, there are different lobby groups who lobby with the policy makers, okay, and try to get their demands reflected in public policy. Okay. Similarly, historically, if we analyze India's case, okay, I told you that corruption had existed since the ancient times. Kautilya talked about corruption in his Arthashastra. Similarly, during Mughal times, corruption existed in the form of bakshish. Have you read about bakshish system in Mughal Empire? So in Mughal Empire, there was a system of bakshish. Okay, basically it was for giving and accepting favors for different activities. Okay. Similarly, during British times, there was a lot of corruption in India. The East India Company was one of the most corrupt organizations at that time. The entire process of drain of wealth took place due to corrupt activities of East India Company. Okay. So corruption historically, these are all historical factors which show that corruption has existed historically. It's not that it's a modern phenomenon. It's not that it has affected India after independence or in 20th century. It has existed since the ancient times. And the history of a country has a great impact on the extent and the nature of corruption. US में corruption जो है, it is because of spoil system of administration that historically has existed in US. India में corruption has existed because of the kind of historical experiences we had, Mughal Empire, East India Company, etc. Okay, so historical factors play an important role on basically determining the nature and extent of corruption. Is it clear? Similarly, socio-cultural factors are there.
So reading ancient history, many administrative posts are coming. Mauryas and Mughal time. That's not how
Imperials. Yes.
Like the main military command, each administration has different names for each post.
Yeah.
For everything other.
I mean, you can, then you can. I mean, see, the pattern in prelims keeps on changing every year. In the last 1 or 2 years, I think some questions have come related to those, like posts and different designations in different empires. Okay. So if you have the time, you can read it. But again, traditionally the focus has generally been on the culture part, not on these posts and designations. In the last 1 or 2 years, few questions have been asked. But it does not mean that it will be asked in the future also. But it's a question of your individual judgment. I mean, if you have the time, if you can remember those posts, then read about it. It will hardly take 2-3 hours.
For each empire, the name changes.
So how many empires are there? 10-12 empires. Ancient medieval milakar. 10-12 empires, and then just make notes 2-3 pages. Hardly 2-3 pages notes. Socio-cultural factors are basically there has been decline in the ethical standards of the society. There has been decline in the ethical fiber of the society. Okay, so all the socio-cultural factors that we discussed for decline in values. Okay, but rise of materialism, rise of consumerism, rise of acquisitive society. Our needs have become want and our wants have become greed. Okay. And in socio-cultural factors, role of family and education institutions become very important. Okay, because there has been decline of all social institutions such as family, marriage. Okay, educational institutions have not been successful in imparting values. The focus has been on rote examination-based learning and not development of character. All these are socio-cultural factors responsible for corruption. Okay. Then economic factors. Again, what kind of economic system a country has, it determines the nature of corruption in that country. Okay. So for instance, in India from 1950s to 1980s, what kind of development model we had?
Mixed economy, closed economy.
Closed economy, state-led development of economy. There was public sector monopoly in different sectors of the economy, and private sector's role was very limited. There was license, quota, permit, tax system. Okay. So during this period, most of the corruption existed in the public sector because of the kind of economic system that we had, because of the kind of economic development model that we followed. Post 1990s, after LPG reforms, private sector is playing a very important role in the development and governance. So, incidents of corporate wrongdoings, incidents of corporate corruption has increased. So, what kind of development model we follow, what kind of economic system we follow at different points in time, it determines the nature of corruption, whether it would be public sector corruption, whether it would be private sector corruption, whether it would be mixed corruption. Okay?
Even license there was corruption. Private sector will pay the rights to the trade.
But that was more of coercive corruption. After LPG reforms, cases of collusive corruption have increased. Now the private sector is actively colluding. For example, all those like 2G spectrum allocation, port block allocation, then the private sector was not forced to pay a rate.
Actually, before 1990s, one company, for importing something, they will persuade the government using license to remove the import quota. After they get it, they will taste the brand.
See, all those things, in a way, private sector was forced to do because the environment was not suitable for their functioning. So those who had to survive, those who had to compete, they had to resort to these tactics. Okay. Political factors. What are the political factors responsible for corruption?
Types of political system.
Types of political systems. Okay, but what is the root cause of political corruption, or what is the root cause of public sector corruption?
Bureaucracy.
Use of black money in elections, use of black money for political processes. Okay, that is the root cause of public sector corruption in India. Okay, so the major political factor that is responsible for corruption in India, especially public sector corruption in India, is use of black money in political processes in elections. Okay, we will discuss about this later. Also, declining quality of political leaders, declining political culture. Okay, these are also political factors responsible for public sector corruption. And finally, we have governance factors. Okay, governance factors में क्या क्या factors आते हैं?
Red tape.
Red tapeism. Okay, what are the components of governance?
Government.
Four components of governance.
Leadership.
So when we talk of governance factors, basically we are focusing on legislative and institutional factors. Okay, our laws are not strong enough, or there are issues with our legislative framework, there are issues with our institutional framework, and there are issues with our systems and processes. Understand? So governance factors basically deal with weaknesses in our laws, legislative framework, weaknesses in our institutions which are there to deal with corruption, and weaknesses in our systems and processes. These are the governance factors. Okay? Okay, these are all the reasons of corruption. So we have discussed various dimensions of the reasons. Historically, what are the factors? Okay, socio-cultural factors, economic factors, political factors, and governance factors. Now the impact of corruption. Socio-culturally, it erodes the moral fiber of the society. Impact of corruption, right? Socio-culturally, it erodes the moral fiber of the society. Politically, it undermines the faith of the common man in the politico-administrative system. It undermines the faith of the common man in the politico-administrative system.
Examples where they are not needed, they are not used. Here you cannot give examples.
Wherever you can give examples, it's not necessary that in every point you have to write an example. From the point of view of governance, it results in poor public service delivery. Economically, it has an adverse impact on economic growth. And other macroeconomic indicators. Okay, so all these are basically effect or impact of corruption. Socio-culturally, it erodes the moral fiber of the society. Politically, it undermines the faith of the common man in the politico-administrative system. From the point of view of governance, it results in poor public service delivery. Economically, it has an adverse impact on economic growth. Now, how it has an adverse impact on economic growth? Basically, cost to exchequer, okay, and by undermining investor confidence and market sentiments. Okay, so for example, when we talk of ease of doing business, one of the factors is corruption. Okay, the higher the corruption, okay, lower will be the ease of doing business. Understanding? Corruption जितना ज़्यादा रहेगा, ease of doing business उतना कम रहेगा. Therefore, investment would be lesser. So, research suggests that because of corruption, okay, investment, both domestic as well as foreign investment, it reduces by around 5%, and our economic growth reduces by around 0.5 to 1%. Okay. So again, you have to write such facts in your answers. Okay. This is according to study by McKinsey. McKinsey is a consultancy firm. Okay. So according to a study by McKinsey, because of corruption, investment reduces by around 5% and economic growth reduces by 0.5 to 1%. Okay. Similarly, you can give the example of black economy. What is the size of our black economy? You understand black economy? Parallel economy. What is parallel economy? So these are basically unregistered, unorganized enterprises which do not pay taxes. Okay, and their contribution is not reflected in the GDP. Okay. Now, there are different estimates of the size of our black economy. Okay, an IPFP study, National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. Okay, an IPFP study shows that the size of our black economy is over 70% of our GDP. Okay, so if we are a $2 trillion economy, around like our GDP can increase by 70% if that black economy becomes part of our formal white economy. And the main reason for existence of black economy is corruption. One of the main reasons. Right? So if corruption would not be there, this black economy can become part of our formal white economy and our GDP can increase by 70%. Okay, this is how corruption has an adverse impact on our economic growth and other macroeconomic indicators. Okay. Now you might get a question on the relationship between corruption and economic growth. Okay, because one view is that corruption actually, some amount of corruption actually helps in economic growth. It helps in basically greasing the wheels of the system. It basically acts as a incentive for everybody. Are you understanding? One point of view is that some amount of corruption helps the economy. It sort of facilitates different economic activities. It greases the wheels of the system. And because of some amount of corruption, all the players involved in the decision making process, they get an incentive to take quick decisions. Not lobbying. Basically, if say some infrastructure is to be created, okay, in the absence of corruption, because of red tapeism, decision making would be very slow. But say if some amount of corruption is there, then it will act as an incentive for those who are involved to take good decisions. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, yeah, I am saying that this is one view. Some people say that this is not the right view. So if a question comes like this, you have to reject that view. Many times in the question the question might be framed like this, that some amount of corruption is necessary for economic growth, government, critically examined. Okay, so this is one point of view, that some amount of corruption sort of facilitates economic activities, it acts as an incentive for different players involved. However, you have to reject this view. You will have to say that, okay, in the short term, it might lead to increase in economic activities, but in the medium to long run, what will happen? Corruption will become systemic. From incidental, it will start from incidental corruption, then it will become institutional, then it will become systemic. It's a slippery slope. Right? You start with small corruption activities, then it becomes part of the entire system. Okay, and in the medium to long run, it will have a negative impact on economic growth. जो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया है ना, investment will reduce, economic growth will reduce, okay, it will be a loss of public exchequer, okay, government will have less resources, है ना, for example, whole block allocation, 2G spectrum allocation, government did not get its legitimate due, government did not get the revenue which it should have got. If government would have got that revenue from auctioning whole blocks, from auctioning 2G spectrum, that revenue could have been used on productive sectors, for infrastructure development, for social sector development. So you have to give all these examples to show that in the medium to long run, corruption will have a negative impact on economic growth. Is it fair? Now, what is the status of corruption in India? Which is the index that we have? Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. Okay. I think last year India's ranking was 79. You can check. In 2016, India's ranking was 79. Check about last year. What India's ranking was in the Corruption Perception Index last year. Okay. In fact, the report also said that 70% of the Indians who have accessed public services have paid bribes. Okay, and around 75% of these people who have paid bribes, they are poor. Okay, so this shows that corruption has a disproportionately large impact on poor people. Okay, so any question on corruption, you have to write these facts. A survey by Transparency International showed that 70% of the Indians who have accessed public services, they have paid bribes, and around 75% of these people are poor. Okay. Okay, so we have discussed various kinds of corruption, we have discussed reasons for corruption, impact of corruption, present status of corruption. Now let us come to the more important part, solutions or reforms. Okay, corruption is there, everybody knows corruption is there. We have seen what are the reasons for corruption. Now what needs to be done? Okay, reforms here. Now the reforms can be categorized into three categories. Promotional measures, punitive measures, and preventive measures. Okay. The reforms to deal with corruption or the solutions to deal with corruption can be categorized into three categories. First is promotional measures. Promotional measures basically focus on strengthening the ethical fiber of the society. They focus on bringing about attitudinal change, behavioral change in the people. Okay. Because until unless the attitude and behavior of the people change, no matter how many laws you have, it is not going to be successful. Okay. So first of all, what we need to do, we need to change the culture of our society. We need to change the behavior and attitude of the people of the society. We need to develop a zero tolerance attitude towards corruption. Okay. So in promotional measures, the role of family and educational institutions will become very important. Ethical fiber of the society can be strengthened only when family and education institutions contribute. Okay, because these are two most important social institutions. Okay. Educational institutions. Okay. All those things that we have discussed as part of human values. What are the reforms that are needed in family, what are the reforms that are needed in education institutions, etc. Those would be part of promotional measures. Okay. Next is punitive measures. Punitive, what does punitive mean? Punishment. So punitive measures basically deal with legislative reforms and institutional reforms. Okay. Reforms in family basically how the role of family can be strengthened in order to ensure that they imbibe good value system in the children. Okay, for example, we have discussed when we were discussing family, we have discussed training and capacity building of family members. For example, we have discussed that example of UK, where there is a kind of social contract between schools and families. After school, what the family members are supposed to do. So essentially, family needs to be sensitized how to bring up children, because most of the things children learn from their family members. Their attitude towards women, their attitude towards environment, their attitude towards Dalits, tribals, minorities. All these things children learn how their parents behave, how their relatives, friends. By family means your entire social circle. Family does not just mean your parents. Your parents, your extended family, your relatives, your friends, everybody around you. They determine how you think. Yes. So pre-conventional morality that we are saying is because the mind of a children is like a clay. It is molded as per what they observe around in their social surroundings. So family and then reforms in educational institutions. Again, educational institutions have also play a very important role in inculcating our value system. Okay, so what reforms need to be introduced in our educational institutions? Okay. Yeah. So punitive measures are basically those measures which aim at creating deterrence. Okay. Now punitive measures come into picture after something has taken place. After a corruption scam or scandal has taken place, then laws and institutions come into the picture. Okay. And the objective of these laws and institutions, laws such as Prevention of Corruption Act, we have different institutions, CBI, CBC, etc. to deal with corruption. These institutions basically exist to punish the guilty, so as to create deterrence, so that others are deterred from doing such a thing. Okay. So when we are talking of punitive measures, punitive reforms, it will have two parts. What are the reforms that need to take place in our existing legislative framework? What are the issues with our existing laws and how they need to be strengthened? And what are the reforms that need to take place in our institutional framework, in the present institutions that exist to deal with corruption? Okay. Let us discuss legislative reforms. Within punitive measures, the first is legislative reforms. First is, within legislative reforms, first is reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act. Reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act, because Prevention of Corruption Act is the primary law to deal with corruption in India. Okay. First, reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act में first. Expanding the definition of corruption. Expanding the definition of corruption to include offences such as gross perversion of the constitution. Gross perversion of the constitution and willful violation of oath of office. Abuse of authority to favor or harm anyone. To favor or harm anyone. Squandering of public money. Squander, wastage. Squandering of public money and obstruction of justice. Okay, so I told you that in the Prevention of Corruption Act, corruption will be defined by listing out certain offences. Okay, and those offences include financial misappropriation, acceptance of illegal gratification, etc. Okay. The first recommendation is that the definition of corruption needs to be expanded to include all these things: gross perversion of the constitution and willful violation of oath of office. Okay, abusing your public authority to favor or harm anyone, squandering of public money, and obstruction of justice. Violating the constitution. Perversion means violating. Gross means big. So violating the constitution either in letter or spirit. Okay. At the same time, it is important to protect honest civil servants, honest public servants. To this end, Section 13 of the Prevention of Corruption Act has been amended recently. Section 13 of the Prevention of Corruption Act has been amended recently. Okay. Now, the first recommendation that we gave was the definition of corruption should be expanded. Okay. However, at the same time, it should be ensured that honest civil servants are not victimized, they are not harassed. So I gave you that example of that ex-Home Secretary who was being harassed on Parik. Okay. Now, because the terms that we have mentioned, they are very ambiguous. Gross perversion of the Constitution, willful violation of oath of office. Nobody knows what constitutes willful violation of oath of office or gross perversion of the Constitution. So these can be misused to harass me. Anything I do, it can be said that you violated the Constitution or it was a willful violation of oath of office. Okay. So it is very important to protect honest civil servants, and to protect honest civil servants, recently, I think last month only, Section 13 has been amended. Okay. So how it has been amended? I'll just spell it out for you. So earlier Section 13 was that a public servant is said to commit the offence of a criminal misconduct if he, while holding office as a public servant, obtains for any person any valuable thing or pecuniary advantage without any public interest. So if I am a public servant, you are an ordinary citizen. If I am basically, if my decision has led to pecuniary advantage for you without any public interest, then I might be criminally prosecuted under prevention of corruption. Now the problem with this definition was that every decision of a civil servant is going to benefit somebody. Whether it is in public interest or not, it is open to interpretation. And this provision was being misused to harass an honest civil servant. Okay, so now this has been amended. How it has been amended? Now the amended Section 13 says that only if a public servant dishonestly or fraudulently misappropriates, okay, or intentionally enriches himself illicitly during the period of his office, okay, then only they would be criminally prosecuted. So now this definition has been made more precise so that it will be more reachable to harass honest civil servants. Understand? So you have to expand the definition of corruption. At the same time, you have to ensure that people are not harassed because of this expanded definition. So both the things have to be balanced. Again, that has been done. Okay? Next. There should be a special section in PCA. PCA is Prevention of Corruption Act. There should be a special section in PCA to deal with offences such as, there should be a special section in PCA to deal with offences such as collusive corruption, disproportionate assets, etc. The punishment should be more stringent. The punishment should be more stringent and burden of proof should be shifted on the accused. And burden of proof should be shifted on the accused. Okay, so what we are proposing is that there should be a special section in PCA, Prevention of Corruption Act, for some special offences such as collusive corruption, assets disproportionate to known sources of income, that is disproportionate assets case, etc. For these offences, punishment should be more stringent, okay, and the burden of proof should be shifted on the accused. So I told you that the fundamental principle of our criminal justice delivery system is that you are innocent until proven guilty. So the burden of proof is on the prosecution to show that the accused is guilty. But in this case, in these cases, for example, disproportionate assets case. Now, if my income is 50,000 per month and I have assets worth 10 crore rupees, then the burden of proof should be shifted on me. I should be presumed guilty until proven otherwise. I have to prove that I am innocent. Because in disproportionate assets case, the burden of proof should be on me. How I have accumulated so much of wealth. So for certain special offences, the burden of proof should be shifted on the accused. Okay? Next. Prior sanction, reforming the process of prior sanction for prosecution. Prior sanction for prosecution. Okay. Now, as per section 19 of Prevention of Corruption Act, prior sanction of competent authority is needed to prosecute anybody, to prosecute a public servant under Prevention of Corruption Act. Okay. So, for example, say if civil servants have to be prosecuted under PCA, prior sanction means permission. Okay, prior sanction is needed from a competent authority. For MPs and MLAs or ministers also, prior sanction is needed. Okay. So, for example, say a central government civil servant, who is the sanctioning authority? Yeah, central government. Within central government, who? The secretary of the concerned department. So, say if I am the joint secretary of Ministry of Health, then if the CBI wants to prosecute me under Prevention of Corruption Act, prior sanction of the Secretary of Health is needed. Okay. This is the present system. If you are a central government employee, okay. If you are a member of parliament, then prior sanction has to come from the president. If you are an MLA, prior sanction has to come from the governor. So for different classes of public servants, there are different competent authority to give sanction or prosecution. Okay. Now, why this section was inserted? Basically to protect honest public servants. Because if this requirement of prior sanction is not there, then every day some case would be filed against you and you would be harassed, you would be victimized. Okay. So basically this section was inserted to ensure that honest public servants are not harassed, they are not victimized. Okay. But one of the counter effect or one of the negative effect of this provision has been that this provision has been used to protect dishonest public servants. There have been instances where people have been caught in incidents of corruption, but the competent authority they have not given prior sanction or they have not given sanction for prosecution. Okay. So this system of giving sanction needs to be reformed. Okay. What reform should be there? In cases where central government is empowered, to give sanction for prosecution, the sanction should be given by a committee. Comprising of the CDC and departmental secretary. The sanction should be given by a committee comprising of the CDC and departmental secretary. The sanction should be given in a time-bound manner. Sanction should be given in a time-bound manner. In case of delays or refusal to give sanction, reasons should be recorded in writing. Reasons should be recorded in writing and put in public domain. and put in public domain. Okay, so what we are proposing at present, for example, let us take the example of central government civil servants. The sanction is to come from the departmental secretary. What second ARC has proposed is that the sanction should be given by a committee comprising of the CBC and the departmental secretary. Okay, everything should not be left on departmental secretary alone. What about if the secretary himself is to be prosecuted? Then the committee will comprise of CBC and cabinet secretary. Okay, in case of prosecution of the secretary himself. Okay. Cabinet secretary, there is no advice of secretaries. Generally, cabinet secretary is not involved in any executive function. Cabinet secretary का this coordination का काम. So he cannot be involved in any wrongdoing because he does not perform any executive function. So the committee should comprise of cabinet secretary and CBC if the secretary is to be prosecuted, and the committee should give sanction for prosecution in a time-bound manner, say 30 days, 40 days, whatever it is. In case of delay or in case of refusal to the sanction, reasons should be reported in writing why sanction is not being given, and it should be put in public domain so that public discussion can take place. Okay. In fact, there is a similar provision in DSPE, Section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. You have heard of DSPE? So, we discuss Section 19 of Prevention of Corruption Act. There is another section, another law called Section 6A of DSP, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. DSP is the act under which CBI has been formed. So, DSP is the legislative framework for the CBI. Okay. So, under Section 6A of DSPE, prior sanction is needed basically for prosecuting JS level officers and above, joint secretary level officers and above. If CBI wants to prosecute those officers, okay, prior sanction of the competent authority is needed. Okay. However, this section has been recently struck down by Supreme Court. Why? On grounds of violation of right to equality, violation of Article 14. Because it creates an artificial distinction between JS level officers and above and other officers. Okay. Next, cases under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Cases under Prevention of Corruption Act should be tried on a day-to-day basis. By a special judge. Cases under Prevention of Corruption Act should be tried on a day-to-day basis by a special judge. Time limits should be fixed on different stages of the trial. To prevent unnecessary adjournments and delays. Okay. So cases under Prevention of Corruption Act should be tried on a day-to-day basis by a special judge. And second ARC has also recommended that time limits should be fixed on different stages of the trial. Okay. On all corruption cases, there are different stages. Okay. So all these cases should be disposed of in a time-bound manner. Okay. What can be the negative effect of this recommendation? Fixing time limits on different stages of the trial. Yeah, it can lead to miscarriage of justice. In the process of giving good decisions, Okay, the quality of judgment might suffer. Okay, so that is something which needs to be taken care of. Next, PCA should be amended to provide that PCA should be amended to provide that private sector entities involved in public service delivery, private sector entities involved in public service delivery be brought under PCA. Okay. Now, Prevention of Corruption Act is only for public bodies, public authorities. But nowadays, many of the public goods and services are being provided by private sector in PPP mode and a public-private partnership mode. So, those private entities who are involved in providing public goods and services, who are using public funds, okay, those private entities also need to be brought within the ambit of Prevention of Corruption Act. Okay. Already, some of the NGOs are within the ambit of Prevention of Corruption Act. Those NGOs which receive more than 1 crore of funds or more than 50% of their total establishment expenditure, okay, they come under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Similarly, other private entities also need to be brought. Okay. So all these are reforms in prevention of corruption to strengthen our legislative framework. Okay. Apart from that, apart from Prevention of Corruption Act, we have other laws also to deal with corruption. Okay. For example, Whistleblower Protection Act. Reforms in Whistleblower Protection Act. You have heard of Whistleblower Protection Act? You have heard? No? You understand whistleblowing? The Whistleblower Protection Act was passed a few years back basically to protect whistleblowers, to ensure that whistleblowers, basically those who make public interest disclosure and those who highlight some irregularity in some government organization, they are not victimized or harassed. However, there are many various issues with the Act. There are various weaknesses with the Act. Okay. For example, the competent authority, as per the Whistleblower Act, the competent authority where complaint is to be registered is the CBC. Okay. So, if you have to blow the whistle, you go to the CBC, you tell them that, okay, this is the problem in some organization. However, anonymous complaints are not allowed. So, you have to disclose your identity while blowing the whistle. Okay. Also, the CBC can disclose your identity to your head of the office. You are working in a public organization, you know that some wrongdoing is taking place in the organization, you go to the CBC, CBC can disclose your identity to your head of the office. So, basically, it exposes you to victimization and harassment. Okay. Similarly, there are various exemptions under Whistleblower Protection Act. For example, you cannot disclose information that is prohibited under the Official Secrets Act. So it is another weakness that as anybody like a public employee or any citizen of the country, they cannot disclose any information prohibited by Official Secrets Act. Okay. Similarly, recently, further amendments, like the government has tried to make further amendments in the Whistleblower Protection Act. Okay. It has included 10 additional categories of exemption. Okay. For example, like information related to IPR, information related to cabinet meetings, information that is being held in fiduciary capacity. Okay. All these kind of information have been exempted from disclosure under Whistleblower Protection Act. Okay. Apart from these, strong mechanisms are not present to protect whistleblowers. The main objective of Whistleblower Protection Act is to protect whistleblowers so that they are not victimized. However, in the Act, the provisions are not adequate enough to protect whistleblowers. Plus, private sector is excluded. So this Act is only for public bodies, public authorities, only for irregularities in the government, in the public sector. So there are various issues with that. Basically go through the provisions of the Act and the amendments that have been moved recently by the government. You can get a question on Whistleblower Protection Act in paper 2 also. From where do we read the bill? Or from where do we read about the Act? Yes. Go Google search Whistleblower Protection Act, PRS. Okay. You will find the brief provision, like the provisions of the Act, what were the amendments that have been made, and what are the issues with the Act. Broadly, I have told these are the issues. Okay. So these issues need to be fixed. Okay. इसके अलावा we have other acts such as Benami Transaction Prohibition Act. है ना? So recently, Benami Transaction Prohibition Act has also been amended, and it has been made stronger. It has been strengthened. Okay. The definition of Benami. You understand Benami transaction? What is a Benami transaction? You have never heard of Benami transaction prohibition, ever? Benami, what does it mean?
Owning property somewhere else.
Yeah. So, see, generally in corruption, you would not own the assets or the property in your name. You know? You would own property in somebody else's name, or some sort of like in the name of a person who does not exist, some ghost identity. Okay, all these are known as Benami transactions. Benami means which does not have a name. Okay, so controlling Benami transactions is one of the most important part of the entire process of controlling corruption. Because until unless you control Benami transactions, corruption will continue to take place. So to deal with Benami transactions, we have an act called Benami Transaction Prohibition. Okay, and recently it has been amended. The definition of Benami transactions has been expanded, okay, and the punishment has been made more stringent. Okay. Apart from these laws, Prevention of Corruption Act, Whistleblower Protection Act, Benami Transaction Prohibition Act, different state governments have also passed different laws. For example, Bihar has passed Bihar Special Courts Act. The Bihar Special Courts Act. Courts, C-O-U-R-T-S, Courts Act. So under the Bihar Special Courts Act, special courts have been set up to deal with corruption cases. And one unique feature of Bihar Special Courts Act is that when a public servant is being tried under the Bihar Special Courts Act, his or her property can be confiscated even before conviction. So say I am a civil servant and I am accused of some corruption and I am being tried under Bihar Special Courts Act. My property can be seized, confiscated even before I am convicted. Generally under Prevention of Corruption Act, what happens? After a public servant is convicted, his or her property is seized. But in Bihar Special Courts Act, the property is being seized during the process of trial itself, even before conviction. So it's basically contradictory to presumption of innocence. So generally you are innocent until proven guilty. Under Bihar Special Courts Act, the moment trial starts, you are supposed to be guilty, and therefore your property is confiscated. Okay, so the presumption of innocence has been is not being followed here. Odisha has also passed such an act. So different states are passing different laws to deal with corruption. Clear? Next, serious economic offences. So we have discussed reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act, Whistleblower Protection Act, plus there are a few other laws, Benami Transaction Prohibition Act. Different states are passing their own laws, such as Bihar Special Courts Act. Okay. Now, how to deal with serious economic offences? You understand serious economic offences? offenses are basically offenses in the private sector. Now we'll talk about private sector corruption. Okay. So, serious economic offenses include offenses such as tax evasion, smuggling, accounting scams, stock market scams, etc. Okay. Basically, most of these offences are in the private sector. Private sector corruption. Now, at present, we have various laws to deal with serious economic offences. Which is the main law? Companies Act. Companies Act is there. Apart from that, Income Tax Act is there, Customs Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Okay, COFEPOSA, Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Act. All these laws are there to deal with serious economic offences. And we have various institutions also. So I told you that Ministry of Corporate Affairs is the nodal agency for implementation of Companies Act. Apart from that, there are various regulatory bodies, SEBI, RBI, IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, etc. Plus, there is a body called SFIO, Serious Fraud Investigation Office. Okay, to deal with serious economic offences. Okay. Now, this is the present framework to deal with serious economic offences. Now, what are the issues? Issue क्या है in the present framework? First of all, there are multiplicity of laws. And I told you that there are multiple laws. We have Companies Act, we have Income Tax Act, we have Prevention of Money Laundering Act, we have Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Act, etc. And generally, in any serious economic offence, provisions of all these laws are violated. And different institutions are involved in the implementation of different laws. And for Companies Act, we have Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, for Income Tax Act, we have Income Tax Department. Okay, so similarly for different act, there are different institutions involved. So what happens is that whenever a serious economic offence takes place, there are issues of coordination between different agencies. Okay, which hampers the investigation process. Okay, so to deal with these issues, what reforms are needed? First, a new comprehensive law on serious economic offences should be formulated integrating the relevant provisions of all existing laws. Integrating the relevant provisions of all existing laws. A new body called SFO, Serious Fraud Office. A new body called SFO, that is Serious Fraud Office, should be set up. Under the Cabinet Secretary. It should be a multidisciplinary body comprising of experts from financial sector, accounts, forensic audit, investigation, etc. Serious Fraud Monitoring Committee. Serious Fraud Monitoring Committee should be set up to oversee the investigation and prosecution of offences, to oversee the investigation and prosecution of offences under the new law. Okay. So to deal with serious economic offences, I told you that serious economic offences are basically offences such as tax evasion, money laundering, smuggling, stock market scams, accounting scams, etc. These are basically offences which take place in the private sector. Okay. So at present we have a number of laws, we have a number of institutions to deal with these offences. However, because there are multiplicity of laws and there are multiplicity of institutions, it leads to issues of coordination. Okay. Plus, the Serious Fraud Investigation Office that we have at present, it is in charge of implementing or it is in charge of investigating cases only under the Companies Act. Okay. SFIO is for the Companies Act, and there are different agencies for different laws. Okay. For example, recently Nirav Modi scam. Please, you know about Nirav Modi scam? Now in that scam, multiple laws were broken. Okay, Income Tax Act was broken, Prevention of Money Laundering Act was broken, okay, Customs Act was broken, etc. And for each of these laws, there are different agencies, different institutions. So there were lots of issues in ensuring coordination of different agencies. Okay. So what second ARC has proposed, that instead of so many laws, we need to have a single law that will integrate the relevant provisions of different laws to deal with serious economic offences. Okay. Plus, instead of multiple bodies, we need to have a single multidisciplinary body, SFO. And this body would be under the Cabinet Secretariat. Because the Cabinet Secretariat, then it will be able to ensure coordination. And that's why it should be under the Cabinet Secretariat. Plus, there should be a monitoring committee, Serious Fraud Monitoring Committee, to monitor the investigation and prosecution of offences under the new law. Yeah? Okay, next is institutional reforms. So we are discussing punitive measures. As part of punitive measures, we have discussed legislative reforms, reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act, Whistleblower Protection Act, we discussed other laws, we discussed serious economic offences. Now, institutional reforms. Institutional reforms means reforms in institutions which exist to deal with corruption. Which are the institutions that we have to deal with corruption? At the central government level, what institutions we have? CBC or CBI or ED. Which is the nodal agency at the central government level? Nodal agency कौन है? The nodal agency is Administrative Vigilance Division in DOPT. Department of Personnel and Training के अंदर Administrative Vigilance Division है, which is the nodal agency to deal with corruption. Okay. Apart from that, we have CBC, CBI, and now we have Lokpal also. Do you know about Lokpal and Lokayukta Act? Lokpal and Lokayukta Act. Have you read about that? Do you know about the act? So Lokpal and Lokayukta Act was passed in the year 2013 after the anti-corruption movement of Anna Hazare, Arvind Kejriwal, etc. However, still, even after 5 years of passing of the act, do we have a Lokpal? still do not have a Lokpal. Why we do not have a Lokpal? The act was passed in 2013.
lack of political will.
Lack of political will. Okay, but what exactly is the issue? There is some technical issue.
But the Prime Minister should be involved.
No, that is the Prime Minister is within the ambit of Lokpal. That issue was resolved before passing the act.
Deciding number two. Who decides
Who
who
will
will lead the local?
who will monitor the law?
Who is part of that particular deciding committee?
What exactly is that?
Opposition leader.
Who will decide
Yeah.
about the who will be part of who will be in that particular committee?
So that has been decided. So as you said, leader of opposition. So the selection committee, which was to select the Lokpal, it was to comprise of Prime Minister, leader of opposition, and one more member. I think either the Speaker or the Chief Justice. I don't remember. Anyway, so in the selection committee, leader of opposition was to be one of the members, and a leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. But in this Lok Sabha, we do not have a leader of opposition. Why we do not have a leader of opposition? What is the criteria to become leader of opposition?
10%.
Yeah. So the opposition party must have at least 10% of the seats of the Lok Sabha. There was no opposition party which had 10% of the seats of Lok Sabha. So Congress is the main opposition party. It did not have 10% of the seats of Lok Sabha. So there is no leader of opposition technically, and that's why selection committee has not been constituted to select the Lokpal. Okay. Having said this, it is essentially lack of political will, because there are other bodies also where leader of opposition is needed. For example, to select the CBC also, CBC is selected by a committee, and one of the members of the committee is leader of opposition. Okay. So the government has amended the CBC Act to basically provide that the requirement of leader of opposition is not there. Okay. So the government has amended other acts, but again, because the government does not want to pass the Lokpal Act, it has not amended the Lokpal Act to provide that leader of opposition's requirement may be got rid of, maybe like the requirement should be done away with.
So there are some alternatives of particular cases that if there is no proper leader of opposition in certain cases, there are no alternatives other way to form.
Yeah, that's what I am saying. There are no alternatives. You amend the act. You amend the Lokpal Act and provide that there is no requirement of leader of opposition in the selection committee. You just amend the act. But the government has not done that. Political will. The government has amended other acts. That's what I told you. In certain other acts also there is this requirement of leader of opposition. For example, to select the CBC. CBC is selected by a collegium, by a committee. Okay, and one of the members of that collegium is the leader of opposition. But the government has amended the CBC Act to provide that leader of opposition's requirement is not there, should not be there. But the government has not amended the Lokpal Act. Anyway, so at the central government level, we have Administrative Vigilance Division under DOPT as a nodal agency. We have CBI, CBC, Anti-Corruption Bureau, Lokpal. Although theoretically is there, but it has not been sort of set up as of now. Okay. At the state government level, which are the institutions we have? ACB, State Vigilance Commission, okay, and Lokayuktas. Lokayuktas are there. Plus state police also. Police also has an anti-corruption division. Okay. Now, Lokayuktas, a question can come on the functioning of Lokayuktas, because like Lokpal and Lokayukta Act has been passed in 2013, but various states have had Lokayuktas for a long time. Since the 1960s, different state governments have had the position of Lokayuktas. Okay. However, the performance of Lokayuktas has not been satisfactory in different states. Okay. In fact, there are huge variations across different states in terms of the appointment of Lokayukta, the composition of Lokayukta, the powers and mandate of Lokayukta, etc. For example, in some states, the mandate of Lokayukta includes only the political executive, that is only the MLAs and the ministers. Whereas in some states, the mandate of Lokayukta includes not just the political executive but the entire administration also, civil servants also. In some states, Lokayukta has investigation powers. In some states, Lokayuktas basically they depend on police, state police to carry out the investigation. In some states, Lokayukta has prosecution power, whereas in other states, they are dependent on public prosecutors, state government prosecutors. Okay, so there have been huge variations in different aspects of functioning of Lokayukta across different states. And empirically, if you analyze the functioning of Lokayuktas, it has been very disappointing. Okay. For example, in Punjab and Haryana, the institution of Lokayukta was abolished through an executive order. It was set up through an executive order and then it was abolished through executive order. In Madhya Pradesh, Lokayukta had indicted some ministers in a land scam. Indicted means Lokayukta had said that some ministers were involved in a land scam, but nothing was done against those ministers. Okay. Similarly, recently in UP में what happened that the government was not appointing Lokayukta for a long time. Okay. Why? Because there was no consensus between different members of the selection committee. There was a selection committee to appoint the Lokayukta comprising of the Chief Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court. However, there was no consensus between them as to who should be appointed the Lokayukta. And finally, Supreme Court had to intervene, and Supreme Court used its extraordinary power under Article 142 and appointed the Lokayukta itself. What is Article 142? I'd ask you to read Constitution and Basic Polity. Article 142 is basically in the absence of law on a particular issue, Supreme Court verdict serves as the law of the land, and basically the Supreme Court interferes to do complete justice to an issue. So in order to do complete justice to an issue, Supreme Court can interfere in some issue, pass a judgment, and that judgment will become the law of the land. Okay. So जितने भी ये Supreme Court के judgments आते हैं judicial activism वाले, all those judgments are under Article 142. Banning liquor, banning sale of liquor on highways, or recent amendment of SC/ST Act. Okay, all these judgments are under Article 142. Okay, so basically all these examples are there to show that the functioning of Lokayuktas have not been very effective. They have not been as it was envisaged. Okay. So when we talk of these are the institutions, this is the institutional framework. When we talk of institutional reforms, okay, institutional reforms will include first reforms in CBI. Reforms in CBI, giving financial and functional autonomy to CBI. Giving financial and functional autonomy to CBI so that they are able to carry out investigation in an independent manner or in an objective manner. Okay. At present, what happens? CBI is used many times for political purposes. Case parallel. Okay. Then police reforms. Because police, many times police also carries out corruption related investigations. Okay, so police also needs to be reformed. Separating law and order functions from investigation function. As part of police reforms, separating law and order functions from investigation functions. So that there is no political interference in investigation of corruption cases. Okay. Now see, police performs various kinds of functions. Law and order functions are what? Basically maintenance of general law and order. Okay. Dealing with mob violence, dealing with riot-like situations, election management, etc. Now these law and order functions need to be differentiated from investigation functions, crime investigation functions. Okay. So for performing law and order functions, some form of government control is needed. Okay, because these are important public issues. Okay. But for investigation functions, there is no need for any sort of government control. It should be done in a completely independent manner. So these two functions need to be separated, and there should be separate accountability mechanisms for these two functions. For law and order functions, there should be some form of state control, government monitoring. For investigation functions, there should be an independent body to monitor the investigation process, which is independent of government. Okay. If you want to read about police reforms, you can refer to second ARC. It's part of the paper 3. Under internal security, you have to read about different security agencies. So police reforms will be part of that. And finally, as part of institutional reforms, not finally, the second last reform, implementation of Lokpal and Lokayukta Act in letter and spirit. Implementation of Lokpal and Lokayukta Act in letter and spirit. The Lokpal needs to be constituted first. Lokpal is an important institution which should have been set up in 2013, but it is still not constituted. So the Lokpal Act needs to be implemented in letter and spirit. And lastly, setting up of a local body ombudsman. Setting up of a local body ombudsman to deal with cases of corruption and maladministration. To deal with cases of corruption and maladministration in local bodies. So we have, at present, we have anti-corruption institutions at the central government level and at the state government level. We do not have any institution to check corruption in local bodies. And local bodies nowadays, they are dealing with huge amount of funds, especially urban local bodies, municipal corporations, etc. For example, the budget of BMC, Bombay Municipal Corporation, is higher than the state budget of some of the northeastern states. So they are dealing with hundreds of crores of rupee every year, and there is no accountability mechanism to check corruption. So what we need is a separate body called local body ombudsman, which would check in, which would look into, which would check instances of corruption and maladministration in local bodies. Clear? All these are institutional reforms. How the different institutions that exist to deal with corruption, how they need to be strengthened. And the last measure is, we have discussed promotional measures, we have discussed punitive measures. And the last measure is preventive measures. This is the third set of measures to deal with corruption. Preventive measures.
So separating law and order functions from investigation investigator means there will be no interference.
There will be no interference in investigation. In fact, if you read second ARC, they have proposed a new organizational structure for the police. Okay. So what they have proposed is second ARC has recommended this new organizational structure for the police. So what they are saying is that for investigation there should be a separate structure with different accountability mechanisms. For law and order there should be a separate structure. So investigation should be monitored by a body called Board of Investigation. Board of Investigation would be a multi-stakeholder body comprising of retired judges, retired police officers, okay, people from civil society, etc. And they, within Board of Investigation, there would be three wings: Chief of Investigation, Chief of Forensics, Chief of Prosecution. So, investigation, forensics, and prosecution, these are all related to crime investigation. Okay. So this should be free of political control. There should be no political interference in this. Okay. However, for law and order function, there will be a Chief of Law and Order, and Chief of Law and Order will be monitored by a body called Police Performance and Accountability Commission. And this would be a political body. It would be headed by the Home Minister. Okay. Although it will have representatives from other sections also, but essentially it would be headed by the Home Minister. So for law and order function, there would be political control. For investigation function, it would be monitored by a separate body called Board of Investigation. Plus, second ARC has also recommended a separate organization of local police should be created at the local level in all urban areas and slowly in rural areas also. Okay. So local police would be in charge of basically all offences under the local laws for violation of small offences, traffic violations, okay, violation of building bylaws. So all such local offences would be dealt by local police. All the law and order issues would be dealt by Chief of Law and Order, and all the investigation, forensics, prosecution related issues would be dealt by Board of Investigation. Okay. So this is the new sort of organizational structure that second ARC has implemented for the police as part of police reform. Okay, the last set of measures is preventive measures. Now, punitive measures come into the picture after something has taken place. जब कोई scam या scandal हो गया है, after a scam and scandal has taken place, then laws and institutions they come into the picture. ठीक है? Basically to give punishment to the guilty. Preventive measures they focus on preventing corruption. Okay. They try to bring about systemic reforms so as to prevent opportunities of corruption. कि corruption हो ही ना at first place. Okay. So generally, like corruption is defined as, अगर mathematically अगर देखना है तो corruption equals monopoly plus discretion minus transparency minus accountability. Okay, how do we define corruption? Corruption can be defined as monopoly plus discretion minus transparency minus accountability. So wherever there would be monopoly of somebody, wherever they would have discretionary powers, okay, and wherever transparency and accountability would be weak, there corruption will take place. So when we talk of preventive measures basically focus on systemic reforms. Systemic reforms, re-engineering of processes and systems. Okay. So whenever we talk of systemic reforms, we have to focus on reforms to reduce monopoly, to reduce discretionary power, and to increase transparency, increase accountability. All those reforms would be part of systemic reforms or preventive measures to prevent opportunities of corruption. Okay. So within preventive measures, first, promotion of competition. And dismantling public sector monopoly. Promotion of competition and dismantling public sector monopoly. Okay. So the first thing is that public sector monopoly in different sectors need to be dismantled. And otherwise, wherever public sector monopoly would be there, there would be public sector corruption. Okay. A very good example of this is the telecom sector. In the telecom sector, earlier there was so much of corruption. In the 1990s, if you wanted to get a telephone connection, only one company was there, BSNL or MTNL. And it used to take months to get a telephone connection. 6-8 months, 1 year. Why? Because there was no competition. And after the telecom sector has been deregulated in the early 2000s, okay, India has made so much progress in the telecom sector. We have around 90 crore handsets now in our country. Okay. So telecom sector is a very good example of how corruption in a particular sector can reduce because of competition. Okay. Next. Reducing discretionary powers. So I told you that one of the reasons for corruption is basically misuse of discretionary power. Okay, I am a civil servant. I will be more prone to corruption when I have lots of discretionary powers and there is nobody to check and monitor. Okay, so how to reduce discretionary powers? First, wherever possible, decision should be taken by a committee instead of an individual. Decision should be taken by a committee instead of an individual. Second, through legislation. Okay. Through legislation means reducing discretionary powers by passing laws. For example, Right to Service Act. So yesterday we discussed Right to Service Act. Different states have passed Right to Service Act. Now, many of the public servants, they do not have the discretion because as part of the law, it has been specified that you have to provide a particular service within say 30 days. Or Right to Information Act. You have to provide information within 30 days. You do not have the discretion. Okay. So by passing a law also you can reduce the discretionary powers. Third, using technology and e-governance. Using technology and e-governance. Okay. So technology again can be used very effectively to reduce discretionary powers. A good example of using technology to reduce discretionary powers is CAS in IT department. CAS means computer assisted selection of scrutiny cases. computer assisted selection of scrutiny cases. Now, earlier in IT department, income tax department, one of the major areas of corruption was basically in deciding which cases are to be taken for detailed scrutiny. What income tax department does is that it analyzes the transaction of various individuals, okay? And those individuals or those transactions which are found to be suspicious, okay? Income tax department does a detailed scrutiny of that individual, of that entity, of those transactions. And earlier this entire process was done manually, and this entire process was prone to a lot of corruption. For example, if I am an Commissioner of Income Tax, I have the authority to decide which cases to select for detailed scrutiny, and then I could use my power to blackmail or harass other individuals, private sector entities, etc. So what IT department did was that it introduced CAS, Computer Assisted Selection of Scrutiny Cases. Now all the cases for detailed scrutiny, they are selected not by individuals but by the computer. So there is a software program which analyzes the transactions of different individuals, and then it decides, okay, on the basis of analysis, these are the 10 individuals whose transactions should be taken for detailed scrutiny. So basically, it has helped in reducing discretionary power of income tax officials and in reducing corruption. Similarly, as part of labor reforms recently, there is a program that government implemented, Shrayamev Jayate program. Okay. So as part of Shrayamev Jayate program, Shrayamev Jayate, लेबर रिफॉर्म्स अगर आप पढ़ेंगे, यू रीड अबाउट लेबर रिफॉर्म्स, यू रीड अबाउट दिस प्रोग्राम, श्रमेव जयते प्रोग्राम. श्रम मीन्स लेबर. सो श्रमेव जयते प्रोग्राम में क्या हुआ है कि the discretionary powers of labor inspectors have been reduced. Again, one of the areas of corruption was basically harassment by labor inspectors. Labor inspectors used to go to different factories and they used to harass the factory owners for violation of different labor laws. Okay. So, as part of Shrayamev Jayate program, now which factories to inspect, now it is not decided manually, it is decided electronically. Okay. Plus, the labor inspector is supposed to upload the report, the inspection report, within a period of 72 hours. Okay, on the Shrayamev Jayate portal. So you will not get the time to manipulate the report and to harass factory owners. Okay. So again, it is another example of how technology has been used to reduce discretionary powers. Clear? And lastly, decentralization and delegation. Decentralization and delegation. Okay. One of the reasons for corruption is centralization of power. And one of the reasons for discretionary power is like centralization of power. So what needs to be done is decentralization and delegation at the organizational level, okay, and at the political level. Political level means 73rd and 74th Amendment. Organizational level means delegating powers within the organization. Like superiors should give more powers to the subordinates within the organization. Political level means implementation of 73rd and 74th Amendment, giving more powers to local bodies. Okay. So decentralization and delegation at an organizational level and at the political level. Clear? All these are basically solutions to reduce discretionary powers. Wherever possible, decisions should be taken by the committee, not by an individual. How technology can be used and how like decentralization and delegation can help in reducing discretionary powers. Clear? Third, first reform we discussed was a promotion of competition. Second, reducing discretionary powers. Third, simplification of rules and regulations. And re-engineering of processes and systems. Re-engineering of processes and systems. Okay. So the processes and systems of different public organizations or different government organizations need to change. They need to be revamped as part of GPR, government process re-engineering. What kind of examples can you give for GPR, government process re-engineering? Successful examples of GPR where systems and processes have been changed and due to that corruption has reduced. क्या एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं? सक्सेसफुल एग्जाम्पल
आप गवर्नमेंट सर्विस एग्रीकल्चर
क्या है उसमें? Okay, ठीक है. Yeah, that example you can give. I haven't read about what exactly is that. और क्या एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं of successful examples of GPR? See, अभी that has not been introduced, so we do not know whether it would be successful or not. It's a proposal. So try to think of examples which has already taken place and it, like we have evidence that it is successful.
But I need to passport forms is a labor in place.
Yes. So reforms in issuance of passport, it is a very good example of systemic reform or GPR, which has led to reduction in corruption. Earlier passport was issued like manually, and there was a lot of corruption, like a lot of middlemen and intermediaries were there. Now passport, the entire process of issuance of passport has been digitalized. So there is a website. Have you ever applied on the passport? That website? Passport Seva.gov.in. Yeah. So basically now everything can be done electronically. You can submit all the documents, you can fill the form electronically. Then you are given a time slot where you are required to visit the Passport Seva Kendra. Then you go and within 3 to 4 hours the entire process is completed. Okay. So it's in fact a PPP between Ministry of External Affairs and TCS. The entire front operations, IT infrastructure, it is being handled by TCS. MEA and handles entire backend infrastructure, backend जो support है वो सारा MEA, Ministry of External Affairs है. Okay. Direct benefit transfer, DBT. DBT is also a very good example of GPR. Okay. Online filing of income tax, it is another example of successful example of GPR. Earlier income taxes were filed manually, leading to a lot of corruption and inconvenience for the citizens. And now electronic filing of ITR. Okay. So all these are successful examples of GPR. It's not a systemic reform. It's just basically a platform for giving, like, for receiving suggestions of citizens. Systemic reform is when you change your systems and processes. Okay. The passport, DBT, these are all systemic reforms. Okay. In my notes, you'll find few other examples of GPR. Okay. Other systemic reforms include or other preventive measures include proactive and preventive vigilance and strengthening of internal supervision. Proactive and preventive vigilance and strengthening of internal supervision. This we have already discussed. You remember? Yesterday we have discussed proactive and preventive vigilance, risk profiling of people, risk profiling of jobs, integrity tests, etc. Okay? Strengthening of internal supervision. Proactive, preventive vigilance and strengthening of internal supervision. Next, institutional coordination between CAG on the one hand and external and other external anti-corruption agencies on the other. CAG on the one hand and external anti-corruption agencies on the other. Okay. Now at present, what is the problem? Like CAG conducts audit, okay, but there is a huge time lag between commission of an offence, when an offence was committed, its detection by the CAG, its inclusion in the CAG report, its discussion in the PAC. For example, say an offence, some corruption took place in this year, in 2018. This would be detected by the CAG in next year's CAG audit. When the CAG audits this particular organization next year in 2019, it will be detected. It will become part of the CAG report in 2020. Next year, because the report is published next year. This report we don't know when it will be discussed in the parliament. Either 2020 or 21 we don't know. Assuming it is discussed in 2020 only, which is highly improbable, but still assuming it is discussed in 2020. Then after this, it is presented in 2020 in the parliament. After presentation in the parliament, that report would be given to the PAC. Now you take care of the CAG report. Now we don't know when the PAC will discuss that report. There are cases where PAC discusses the report after 3-4 years. So, for example, in Bihar Vidhan Sabha, when I was there, many of the reports of 2009, 2010, 2011 were being discussed last year, 2017. So there was a time lag of 7 to 8 years. Okay. So the report goes to PAC in 2020. We don't know when it will be discussed. It could be discussed next year or after 4 or 5 years. So there is a huge time lag between commission of an offence, its detection by the CAG, its inclusion in CAG report, and its discussion in the PAC. What will happen in these 7 to 8 years? Many times the evidences get destroyed, or the persons who are involved in those corruption scandals, they retire, they die. बहुत सारे ऐसे cases we came across where somebody was involved in some irregularity 15 years back, and now that person is retired or he's died. Now nothing can be done. So to deal with this issue, what needs to be done? There has to be institutional coordination between CAG and external anti-corruption agencies. So the moment the CAG detects some irregularity, some corruption, the CAG should have the power to share the findings of its audit with external anti-corruption agencies such as CBI and CBC, so that they could carry out the criminal investigation at that time only. They should not wait for the finding to become part of the report, then become part of the then presentation in the parliament, then discussion in the PAC. So if today CAG comes across some irregularity, at that time only CAG should share whatever evidence it has gathered with CBI or CBC and ask them to carry out a thorough investigation. So there has to be institutional coordination between CAG on the one hand and other anti-corruption agencies on the other hand. At present, this is not allowed. At present, till the time the report is presented in the parliament or the state legislature, its content cannot be made public, its content cannot be shared with any other agents. This needs to change. Okay? And the final set of reforms to deal with corruption is role of civil society and media. Role of civil society, citizens and media. Okay, so I told you that as part of network governance, governance is not just the responsibility of government. Government is just one of the players. Government cannot do everything. So the civil society, the citizens, the media, they also need to contribute, okay, in checking corruption. Okay. For example, media. Newspapers such as Indian Express played a very important role in highlighting the Bofors scandal, in unearthing the Bofors scandal. You have heard of Bofors? Bofors के बारे में सुना? Yeah, who was involved in Bofors scandal? Rajiv Gandhi. Or there were at least allegations. We don't know whether he was involved. Okay. So Bofors scandal took place in the late 1980s, and it was a defense scandal basically, in which there were accusations that the government at that time had received kickbacks, okay, from Bofors. Bofors is the name of the Swedish company, okay, from where arms and ammunition were being imported. Okay. So in unearthing the Bofors scandal, Indian Express played a very important role. Similarly, in US, the Washington Express, okay, or the Washington Post, not the Washington Express. The Washington Post played an important role in exposing the Watergate scandal. You have heard of Watergate scandal? Excellent. Yeah. Watergate scandal. Watergate scandal was a scandal which led to ousting of Richard Nixon. So Washington Post played a very important role. So these are all examples of how media can play an important role in dealing with corruption, in unearthing corruption. Okay. Similarly, civil society, NGOs. What are the examples of civil society or NGOs taking steps to deal with corruption? Anything of examples where civil society NGOs have helped in unearthing instances of corruption?
Both synonymous civil society and
NGOs are part of civil society. Give examples of NGOs. Civil society is a larger concept. It includes NGOs, citizens groups, resident welfare associations, etc. So NKSS again. NKSS is an NGO. Social audit. It helped in highlighting instances of corruption in public works in Rajasthan through social audit. Okay. NKSS in Rajasthan through social audit. Then there was an NGO in Delhi called Parivartan. Okay, Parivartan highlighted corruption in MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and Delhi Vidyut Board. In fact, Parivartan was the NGO of Arvind Kejriwal before he joined politics. Arvind Kejriwal was an Indian Revenue Service officer, IRS officer. He resigned from IRS, then he started an NGO. Okay, and RTA activist also. He became involved in the anti-corruption movement, Anna Hazare anti-corruption movement in 2011, and thereafter he joined politics. So So Parivartan was his NGO, and Parivartan played an important role in highlighting instances of corruption in MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and Delhi Vidyut Board, Electricity Board. Okay. Now, citizens can help in dealing with corruption by passing the False Claims Act. We have discussed examples of media, examples of NGOs. Now, how citizens, people like you and me, how we can help in exposing instances of corruption. Okay. Passing of False Claims Act. False Claims Act. Under the Act, anybody can file a litigation on behalf of the government against anyone can file a litigation against anyone on behalf of the government who has made a fraudulent claim against the government. Who has made a fraudulent claim against the government. If the false claim is established in a court of law, if the false claim is established in a court of law, the person or entity who brought the case, is suitably compensated. From the damages recovered. Is suitably compensated from the damages recovered. Okay, so what is this False Claims Act? Under the False Claims Act, any citizen can file a litigation on behalf of the government. Okay, say you have some evidence that a contractor is overcharging a government. Some public procurement is taking place. Okay, the government is getting some work done through a contractor, for example. And you know that you have some evidence that that contractor is overcharging the government. That is, the contractor is making a false claim against the government. Okay. So what you will do, you can file a litigation on behalf of the government. There's a public interest litigation होता है. That's saying you can file a litigation on behalf of the government that this contractor is making a false claim against the government. Okay. And if the false claim is proved in the court of law, then the contractor will be penalized heavily. And out of the damages recovered, you will get a portion of the compensation. 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever. So what will happen because of this act? It will encourage citizens to expose incidents of corruption because they will get monetary reward for it if the false claim is proved. Understand? So this is an act which will help in encouraging citizens to unearth instances of corruption. Such an act exists in the US. US has such a law. Okay? So these are all ways through which, or examples through which media, NGOs and citizens can help in dealing with corruption, because government alone cannot do everything. All the stakeholders need to contribute.
Can we also use private entities?
Private entities,
Can you
This is only for false claims against the government. Against the government. For private entities, we have different regulatory bodies. MAGI का जो issue है, we have a regulatory body. FSSAI is there. And the False Claims Act, there is no provision for private firm. Okay? So all these are reforms to deal with corruption. So we started with different kinds of corruption: coercive, collusive corruption, incidental, institutional, systemic corruption. We discussed the various reasons of corruption: historical factors, socio-cultural factors, economic factors, political factors, governance factors. We discussed the impact of corruption: social impact, political impact, governance impact, economic impact. Okay. We discussed like India's status or India's state as far as corruption is concerned, India's ranking in Corruption Perception Index, recent findings of Transparency International Indexes survey. Okay. And then we started our discussion on reforms, how to deal with corruption. Okay, we discussed that there are three kinds of reforms that need to be undertaken. Okay, promotional measures, punitive measures, and preventive measures. Promotional measures focus on strengthening the ethical fiber of the society, their role of family, education institutions, etc. They become very important. Okay, they focus on bringing about attitudinal change, behavioral change in people. Okay, but no matter how much ethical fiber of the society is strengthened, there would always be some individuals who would do illegal, unethical, corrupt activities. To deal with those individuals, what we need is punitive measures and to punish them so as to create deterrence. Punitive measures include legislative and institutional reforms. Within legislative reforms, we discussed reforms in Prevention of Corruption Act, reforms in Whistleblowers Protection Act. Plus, we discussed few other laws. For example, Bihar Special Courts Act, Benami Transaction Prohibition Act, etc. We discussed then serious economic offences and what needs to be done. Okay. Then, as part of institutional reforms, we discussed what are the reforms that need to be undertaken in CBI, police, Lokpal, Lokayukta, local body ombudsman should be created, etc. And then finally, as part of preventive measures, we discussed various kinds of reforms in systems and processes to prevent opportunities of corruption. These reforms include promotion of competition, okay, reducing discretionary powers, simplification of rules and regulations, and GPR, Government Process Reengineering. We discussed various examples of GPR, passport, income tax, filing of income tax return, DBT, etc. Okay. And finally, we discussed few other reforms to deal with corruption. Okay, strengthening of internal supervision, proactive and preventive vigilance, institutional coordination between CAG and other anti-corruption agencies. And finally, what is the role of media, NGOs, and citizens in dealing with corruption? We discussed various examples of different NGOs, media, etc. Okay? So corruption whatever we have discussed, this includes everything. Any question on corruption, now you should be able to write an essay also on corruption. 1000 words, 1200 words. What is corruption? Reasons for corruption. Solutions to deal with corruption. So any question on corruption, paper 4, paper 2, you should be able to handle using this information. And all these recommendations are whose recommendations? Secretaries. Any questions on corruption? See, corruption is an important topic. Paper 2, paper 4 essay. So read it very carefully. Whatever I have covered, that is more than sufficient. Okay. You can keep on adding more examples in this. Whatever latest developments take place. Okay, you can just keep on updating your notes. In terms of content, this is more than enough. Any questions, any doubts here? We'll take a break for 10 minutes and we will start with good governance reforms. Other good governance reforms, political parties, electoral reforms, parliamentary reforms, etc. So we'll meet at 1:20.
to